Welcome to Fitzdog Radio. Your host, Greg Fitzsimmons, sits in front of a computer on Zoom, which records, and I put up on YouTube if you want to see this face. Looking a little pasty today. It doesn't matter how much I'm in the sun. I played 18 holes of golf yesterday. It was 80 degrees out. I played paddle tennis the day before that. I'm out in the sun all the time. Doesn't matter. I truly am the pastiest man alive, and it kind of sucked as a kid. I used to caddy, and sunblock wasn't used, okay? In the 80s, we didn't use it. We didn't use sunblock. I wore a hat, and then I would caddy, and I'd be out in the sun for 4 or 5 hours. Sometimes I'd loop twice in one day, so I'd be out in the sun for 8 fucking hours. And my nose would get so burnt that the dead skin would harden. Like you could tap on it and hear a clicking sound. And then I would dig my thumbnail under the dead skin and I would peel it off until it was raw like a baboon's asshole. And the next day, go out in the sun again. I am going to be one of those guys you see in a sweatsuit with a walker and a fucking permanent Band-Aid on his nose from getting lesions chopped off. And it's probably going to get fat. Even though I don't drink, I'm going to get that Irish drinker's nose. Who cares? Who cares? You know? I don't care anymore. Here's the thing about trying is it's all you can do, and it's all I do. It's all I have done. I've always, I feel like if I don't accomplish enough in life for my own edification, I don't know. If I fall short of my goals, I'll know, like, when I die, I just want my headstone to say my name, and then he tried his best. That's all it should say. Because I did. Through it all. Through everything I've overcome. Which compared to a lot of people is not a lot. But in my mind, I overcame a lot. I kept showing up. And I continue to keep showing up. What is this, a self-help podcast? Anyway, listen. Played golf yesterday. Owen is home from college. Big news. Very excited about it. He's home early because he can be. He wanted to beat the Thanksgiving rush. So he came home and he's in the back and he's already working out with my nephew who's also staying in the back. And we all got up this morning. Well, first I got up this morning and I did a 7-mile walk with my friend. And then we started boxing when I got home. We did burpees, push-ups, chin-ups, boxing. My nephew, who was almost a Green Beret, almost a Navy SEAL, just missed. But he's a tough guy. And he's got the boxing pads, so we punch his pads. And then I hung a heavy bag in the backyard, so we're going fucking crazy. We are getting in shape. I fell out of shape since Owen left for college. And now I'm getting back in. He's my trainer. He earns his keep. But we played golf yesterday, and one of my friends, I love the guy. He's one of my close friends, and he's a terrific guy. But he's got the worst fucking temper on the golf course. Just cursing, screaming, shaking his head. And then on the last hole, he takes his putter, and he whips it across the green, over the cart path, onto the grass by the cart. It's like crazy. It's like, dude, this isn't the fucking, there's always guys, like I remember playing ice hockey with guys when I was in my 40s who would still get into fights, who would go into the corner, and if they got bumped, they'd throw their gloves down, which, first of all, you don't throw your gloves down to fight in pickup recreational hockey. Because first of all, everybody's got a fucking cage on their face. So what are you going to do? You're going to bash your knuckles into their metal cage, you fucking idiot? All right, I'm talking to myself. I was one of those guys. who used to get into fights in pickup hockey, but not anymore. I've got all that shit under control. Got it locked down. peace, serenity, meditation apps, doing it all. I'm thinking about getting heavily into marijuana just to change it up. Maybe I'll be one of those high-functioning potheads, you know, like a Doug Benson type of guy or a Joe Rogan. They get it done, and they're high. Usually I just get paranoid and I sit there. Nothing happens. Nothing gets done. I watched a documentary today. It's coming out on Showtime. They sent me an advanced screener. I think for the exact reason that that I'm doing now, which is that I would talk about it on my podcast, which I wouldn't talk about it if it wasn't good. It's great. It's great. It was made by, what's the guy's name? J.D. Cutler? Is it J.D.? C.J.? J.C. Cutler? J.C. Cutler? Anyway, he did The War Room. He did A Perfect Candidate. He's a really, like, very well-respected documentary filmmaker, and he got access to, I mean, Dan Aykroyd is giving the most personal, vulnerable memories of he and Belushi together, and they truly were best friends. It was a really beautiful relationship, and also a beautiful relationship with his wife, Judy, who stayed with him through all the chaos, and they knew each other from college, I think. They were sweethearts at a young age. And it pained him that he couldn't give her everything he wanted to in terms of being a husband and a partner. And he wrote her these heartfelt letters that they show in the movie. But what a complicated guy. What a power. First of all, we all know what a powerhouse. I didn't realize he was at one point in the #1 box office movie of the year, which was Animal House, at the same time that Saturday Night Live was one of the biggest shows on TV, and the Blues Brothers was the #1 album on the Billboard charts, all in the same year. I think it was like 79. Am I wrong? And it was a lot to happen very quickly to somebody, and he got into drugs, and they took a hold of him, but he fought it, and you realize in watching this of how unequipped people were to deal with drug addiction back then, and that it was a disease as opposed to a weakness or a failure. And just how miserable he was once he got that famous. How miserable you got to be nuts to enjoy fame at that level. It can't be fun. You can't go out of the house. Everybody wants something from you. You know, you think you're rich, but what are you going to spend it on? A bigger house? How big of a house do you need? You know? Like my house. My house is perfect. Not fancy, but nice. In a neighborhood filled with friends. And near the beach. That's all that matters. Keep it simple, people. Mom comes tomorrow. So we're ready for that. I haven't seen my mom in about a year, which is a long time. I usually see her at least 3 or 4 times a year. I love my mom very much. She's a sweet, funny, caring, generous person. And she'll be out here for 2 weeks. So I'm very excited. We're going to try to play golf. It's very hard to get on the public courses in LA now. I got to get my rich friends to invite me to their country clubs. It's very difficult to get on the public courses. They get booked up 9 days in advance. It's a long story, but it's very hard. Usually we play a lot of golf, and I don't know how much we'll be able to this year. But we'll do a lot. We'll play a lot of poker. She's a poker head, and she got my daughter into it, so we'll play a lot of poker. We'll take some hikes, go to the beach. We won't be able to eat out, but maybe grill it up. See what we're going to do for Thanksgiving. It's going to be a scaled back project this year. But I'm psyched she's going to be out here. And she says that she's been COVID safe, but she lives in Florida. So Florida doesn't give a shit. I know them. They don't care. And so and then I'm going to Florida, or by the time this podcast comes out, I will have already gone to Florida, but I had to tape it early because I'm going to be away. So I'm going to be coming back from Tampa. She's coming in from the East Coast of Florida, and then my son is just back from Chicago. So it's a hot house. It's going to be a COVID hot house. We're going to have to lay low for the first week and go from there. She heard me on the podcast. People fucking rat me out. She's got friends that listen to the podcast, and I think they tell her when I talked about her. And I said that I was talking about her coming out for Thanksgiving and how she likes to have her wine on Thanksgiving, and you can always tell when she's drunk because her teeth turn purple from all the red wine. And she wasn't mad about it, but she gave me shit. She gave me some shit. So I said it again. So I'm saying it on this podcast. I spent a lot of today on TikTok, and I watched a 60 Minutes piece on it, and it said that they can hack your shit, and that there's an understanding the Chinese government has with all the social media companies that they have full access to all their information. And so I should be wary about the Chinese hacking. What are they going to hack? What are the Chinese going to get from my computer that I wouldn't give them? They're Chinese. You know, I have nothing to hide from them. They don't live here. They're in China. They're going to figure out my patterns. What are they going to hack out of my computer? They're going to get my my fantasy football spreadsheet. They're going to get that picture I took 9 years ago with my dick tucked between my legs so it looks like a vagina. Okay, if that's the worst thing you're going to find, you're going to find 16 half-written sitcom scripts that I couldn't think of an ending for. Have them. Have them, Sun Ching. Have them, Yang Su. They're all yours. Maybe you can finish them for me. Wouldn't that be great? If the Chinese hacked my fucking scripts, finished them, and then called me and said, we want to go in business with you. We half own your sitcom script, but we finish. We come up with punchy Act 3. Am I going to get shit for doing an accent? Why is it I could do a French accent? Oh, monsieur, you have so... That's fine. That's fine. Italian, that's fine. But you do a Chinese one, oh boy, that's racist. Huh? What am I, the white guy that gets upset about things being called racist? No, not me. I'm not that guy. Anyway, because I'll be quarantining for a little bit when I come back, it's going to be me and my son and my mom in the back house quarantining for a few days. I asked people what I should watch, what we should watch. Got a lot of great ideas. Somebody said Patriot. I think I already told you that. Phenomenal series on Amazon Prime. This guy, Gabe, recommends that I watch Wayne on Amazon. It starts off in Brockton, Mass. This guy, Wayne, and he goes through a Mark Twain journey of mischief and adventure to Florida. Wayne is a tough kid with a good heart, while his girlfriend is a smart, wisecracking, pixie-like beauty. What a writer this Gabe is, huh? Anyway, he says I'll recognize some of these Boston characters in the show. So I'm going to check out Wayne. That's one of my... And also I'm in Tampa. I'll be watching some TV there alone. Got some other nice mail. This came from James in Columbus, Ohio. He says, my main issue... And first of all, you don't have to have an issue to email me. Just email me. fitzdog@gmail.com. I reply to everybody. You don't have to have an issue. You can just say, hey, man, dig the show. Keep it up. That's it. But this guy, James, has an issue. He says, it's the picture on your podcast homepage. I know you accept death better than most. Interesting he would say that, since I just talked about my own death earlier in the podcast. So why the pic of you in 1999? You are a super handsome man. There you go. That is easing into age as most should, with grace. With some wrinkles and gray hair. Embrace your handsome self and make a new picture and homepage to represent your genuine look age as of now. Well, guess what, James? Oh no, this isn't James. Who wrote this one? Oh, Mark. This is from Mark. Here's the thing, Mark. It's not vanity, that picture. It's laziness. I don't think I've updated my my picture on my podcast homepage in 20 years. Well, 12 years. I should get around to that. I got to update some shit. Hey, Greg, this is from James from Columbus, Ohio. Greg, I got the nickname Squints in high school. I had a hard time seeing the board in class and refused to get glasses, so I'd always have to squint really hard to see what the teacher was writing. So they called him Squints. That sounds very like 1950s. I just picture a guy in some Levi's with a white T-shirt and his hair kind of slicked back, going like that, and they call him Squints. Everybody had cool nicknames back in the 50s. Moose and Squints and Hair Pie. What was your nickname? That's a fun segment. Why don't you guys email me what was your nickname in high school and why? Mine started in college. Fitzdog started in college as kind of a joke because I hated fraternities so much. And so they gave me a frat guy name, and everybody would scream Fitzdog when I'd walk into a party or into a bar. Fitzdog! And it kind of stuck. And it was meant to be ironic. But now you people really do know me as Fitzdog, and you've come to embrace me. And so I can't shake it. This segment's called Say What? Say What? Say What? Are colloquialisms. These are things that maybe your grandparents said. We don't want these to go away because they're golden. They're golden little phrases when language was used in a richer fashion. This comes from E.S. Joyner. Been meaning to send this for a while. My dad used to say, quote, if you're going to stay up and hoot with the owls, you got to get up and scream with the eagles. Yeah, baby. That's right. I always remember this story about John Wayne, and they say that he'd be the last guy at the, back when people would stop filming and then they'd go to the bar and they'd drink whiskey. Everybody drank whiskey late. And they said he'd be the last guy at the bar, and then the next morning he was the first guy on set because he was a man and a racist. Guess he wanted to get there early, make sure no black people showed up on the set. That's the key. This one comes from Timothy, who says, my mother's Uncle Bernard had a phrase, quote, well, if that doesn't take the rag off the boosh. It's bush, but it was pronounced boosh. Compared to if that just doesn't take the cake. It's something very good, special, unusual. It was a Bernard original. Haven't heard it since. Well, you heard it again. You heard it on here, and I'm going to start saying it. If that doesn't take the rag off the boosh. Is that a vagina thing? Maybe it is. Yeah, maybe I don't want to say rag off the boosh. That could be a sanitary napkin off of a pubic hair infested vagina. So I'm not going to say that, Tim. You can keep that. You and your Uncle Bernard can hold on to that one. And finally, we're going to do an overheard, and then we'll get to my guest. Edward Manson said, I was going up a chairlift on a small Michigan mountain when two visibly drunk skiers below me were leaving the bonfire party area, and one guy says to the other one indignantly, quote, if I can drink and drive, I can ski and drive. I think he meant I can drink and ski. Which you can't, by the way. Don't drink and ski. So many people have their fucking ACLs blown out and their cartilage in their knee destroyed because some drunken asshole came tearing down the hill. Smoke pot when you ski. It makes you enjoy swishing. The act of swishing brings you great joy, and you're a little paranoid, and you're careful, and nobody gets hurt. Pot is for skiing. Okay. All right, listen. It's the holiday season, so once again, we have put the Grapefruit Simmons t-shirts. As you can see them right here. I'm holding one up. Still in the plastic, so you can't see it, but they're on sale. 10% off through Christmas. Get yourself a Grapefruit Simmons t-shirt for a loved one. Small, medium, large, XL. Get them all on the website, Fitzdog.com. Also, don't forget, you can also sign up for the premium memship. Yeah, the menship. It's a gay cruise. the premium membership, which you can sign up and you can get about 900 past episodes of Fitzdog Radio. Some of my past guests that you might have missed: Zach Galifianakis, Carl Reiner, Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys, Nick Kroll, Louis C.K. They're all on there. They're all on there. Jimmy Kimmel. Pick it up. It's cheap. All right, now my guest. This guy I spoke to a few weeks ago, and I'm just getting to it now, but he's a great comic. He's one of those comics that all the other comics watch. He's a true, like, pure stand-up. Goes on the road, works out year-round, killing. And I don't know what the hell he's doing now. We'll find out in the podcast because he moved up to, I think, Portland. I forget. We talked about it in the podcast. But he's great. You know, from everything, he's done everything on Comedy Central and a bunch of movies and TV shows. Here he is, my chat with the great Kyle Kinane. Welcome to Fitzdog Radio. I'm your host, Greg Fitzsimmons. My guest, of course, is the great Kyle Kinane, as you might have surmised from the title of the episode.
Oh, yeah.
It's always weird because I come from real radio where you have to re-up the guest's name every 15 minutes and all that. You know, I come from a radio family. That's what my dad did. And now podcasting is just more of, I think it's almost cool when people start. They've already been talking, and then it starts recording. Well,
I mean, having grown up, listening to, I remember, I worked at a gas station, mornings at a gas station, and I never liked the morning zoo radio shows.
Yeah.
Because those always kind of drove me nuts. Hold on, I'm switching a thing here. Because those always kind of made me crazy, the attitude on those shows.
Yeah.
But then there was they were Bill and Wendy on Q101 in Chicago, and Q101 was it was like adult contemporary, and it was about to change into alternative radio right about like the late 90s. So they knew their days were numbered.
Yeah.
And they were like adult contemporary. They just started fucking off, and it was beautiful. Because they made fun of all the music they had to play, just like somebody's dad coming in, listening to their kid, like, this is this is garbage. Like, and that was, for me, that was like glorious radio to listen to them. Just,
it was like Conan at the end of the Tonight Show. He knew he was going off the Tonight Show, and he just started doing weird shit.
Yeah, because you kind of still think that people in TV or any kind of media have to still work within these parameters. And when they don't, when you could tell things are truly live and going off the rails, that's glorious to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think Stern was like that for so many years. It was truly he was P.T. Barnum. He's a guy who had a big circus tent, and he brought freaks into it, and then he tried to stir it up, and then he just kind of stood back and let shit happen. You know, obviously, he's been doing it for, 40 years, so it's a little more produced now than it used to be. But I guess I'm trying to think what the most chaotic radio or podcast is right now.
I mean, I don't know if because now there's this world of TikTok stunts and everything, and that I don't like the general public being the fall guy for pranks.
Right.
That's why I think Impractical Jokers took off, because the joke was always on themselves.
Right.
So you could laugh at the interactions.
I love those guys.
They put themselves in that situation.
Yeah, I watch a lot of TikTok, and TikTok is a lot of a really hot chick going up to a guy and flirting with him and then asking for his number. And the joke is that she's never going to call him. And we just see this guy, his day is being made by a pretty girl asking him out. It just makes me feel gross.
It's vicious. You get urged to be on the next social media train, I'm trying to keep up, but I went on TikTok for maybe a few weeks, and immediately I'm like, No.
Yeah.
This is, you know what? I'm going to side on a rare moment. I'm going to side with Trump and everything. Be like, this is bad. This is a bad thing, and I don't want it. And these women are underage and shouldn't be doing that. And I do not need that information coming through my phone. And I just felt gross. I felt gross on it, and I was like, no thanks.
Well, the thing about TikTok, because I'm going to defend it right now as a guy who's mildly addicted to it, is it does learn you. And you can say don't like. When it's a young girl, you can say don't like. And that's going to help you in your trial someday. I
shouldn't have to be in the position to do that ever.
Yeah.
I should never have to be like, oh, I have to make a choice to like, no.
Yeah, it's like the dessert cart being brought over to the table after dinner. I didn't ask for that.
No, if I want dessert, I want a dessert.
Yeah.
Don't just push it under my nose and be like, ooh, how do you feel now? Well, I do have a bit of a sweet tooth. Gotcha.
How young is she exactly? I mean.
Yeah, I don't want any of that. No
the rule is half your age plus 7 years, by the way. Somebody just told me that. That's what's appropriate for dating. So you're 42?
43.
So 21. So 28 should be the youngest girl that you would date right now. Does that sound about right?
I don't know what kind of math. I mean, I don't even need to entertain that math, Greg. I'm settled. I'm a settled man.
Are you?
Worried about what like if you're 65, what's that? 32 and then 8, so 40. If you're 65, you did 40 years old.
Yeah. And if you're 20, it's 17.
Checks out. Checks out for you.
I think it works. Wait, but going back to radio and them not believing in the songs they're introducing, I always wonder because are you still the voice for Comedy Central or is that over?
No, that's Dave Bory is the voice now.
Okay.
That was a fun way that ended. I found out that I didn't have a job anymore when I was talking to David Bory, and he's like, "Hey, are you still doing the voiceover stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing it." He's like, "Okay, because they also just hired me." And I'm like, class act, guys.
Did he call you because of that, or you just happened to be on the phone together?
I was hanging out with him, and then a couple people hit me up like, they're auditioning people. I'm like, all right, well, I know they got a few guys that do it. And then, I mean, I can't get mad about it. That's how I got the job, was a very, very passive hire.
Right.
And, I had it for 8 years and it was great. So I just thought like when you get let go, they tell you. I didn't know.
But I always wondered, like, when you were introducing stuff, if you had to introduce like a comedian's 1 hour special and the guy was a fucking hack, did you put a little tone in your voice? Was there a little hint of irony?
Oh, there's no tone whatsoever. There's very honest takes that are recorded somewhere on a blackmail reel over at a studio in LA.
Oh, no shit.
And if somebody thinks I'm worth anything, they're going to come around like, "Hey man, you want us to release this?" Oh yeah, there's plenty of like, fuck this guy. And especially as a comedian, when you're like, "Well, congratulations, guy I have no respect for. Let me right this way."
Right.
But whatever. I mean, it's
amazing.
Start thinking that way, you get eaten up. Because what do you want? Everybody to be your style of comedy? Because that comedy's not interesting. Dipshits need to laugh too.
Right. I mean, there's guys out there like when Carrot Top used to get attacked, I was always like, who the fuck are you to go after a guy who is doing comedy in a different way than anybody else is right now? Give him that. We have a stage. Comedians have, here's the parameters of what we do. Here's a piece of real estate that's about 5 square feet, and you've got a microphone and an hour. That's it. Do whatever the fuck you want. You want to drink, smoke, curse, take your dick out. You can do any of that. And yet everybody walks up, takes the mic out, moves the stand, talks about relatively the same thing. And then you got this guy with red hair who's tattooing his face, and he's using props. Who the fuck are you to judge this guy?
Well, I think we learned you can't take your dick out. I think we learned there are boundaries.
I wonder if Bobby Lee is still doing that though, because he used to all the time.
Yeah, wasn't it like Ari's thing too?
Yeah, I think Ari's pulled his dick out a few times.
I mean, what, you guys never go to parties when you were 19? Like, that was the move. Oh, yeah. Man, so-and-so's got a skin watch. Shows up, hey, what time is it? And you pull it over your wrist.
Yeah.
You know, we're doing that on stage? That was like, that's when you learned what real comedy was. You're like, oh, the laughs I was getting from doing a skin watch at house parties are not comedy. Whatever. Anyway, hey, up next.
Right. You know, but my father, I told you he was in radio, and he did the voices for Showtime for about 10 years. And it was the sweetest.
Take your dick out on radio all you want, by the way.
Yes, which he did. He had two mics in his hand because he had to go a little high sometimes. And so he had the sweetest gig because he would go into a recording studio for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours a week and bang out all the coming up next. And that shit put me through college. That was a nice gig.
I would feel like I earned a more honest living if I just robbed a bank.
Really?
Like I mean, it's not like it was astronomical sums, but for effort versus reward,
yeah,
wildly lopsided.
Right.
Incredibly lopsided. Like, even when you find out how much actors get paid, sometimes like, oh, I've been on those shoots where it's like 14 hours and you're freezing outside waiting to say your 2 lines. And it's like, all right, it can be shitty, you know, and it's like, you know, it's still not a coal miner, but voiceover is like, I rolled in if I even went to the studio, some days I was like, I'm just going to set the gear up at home. Is that cool? Just rolling in flip-flops, jammies, hungover, teeth unbrushed, just busting out a half hour's worth of work and then going home back to bed.
Nice.
Get out of here. You shouldn't be able to pay your bills from that.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like podcasting now, you know, it is, and especially Zoom podcasting where you don't even have to travel. And, you know, I think I hit you up on Twitter and, you know, 4 days later, we're here we are.
Yeah. Well, it's also the good trap now. It's that, hey man, you want to do my podcast? It's on Zoom. You can't say no.
Right.
Not you, Greg. You're great, Greg. I'm talking about other podcasters, of course. Naturally, I'm talking about the other podcasters.
It's still awkward. I swear to God, I know you do a podcast, but I don't think you have guests, and I'm jealous of that. You know, that's because that is the only part of it that's difficult, and you don't want to feel like you're always calling in favors, but at the same time, you know, you want to bring in the people who you respect and think are funny.
I feel like I got enough built up that I've been guests on enough podcasts where if I did want to do something with guests, I can like really start roping them in.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, I do the Boogie Monster with Dave Stone, but like we're at a point where like people listen to us because they know what we do. But like, if you want to go anywhere with podcasts, you either have to have compelling guests or have like a format and a subject matter that people are interested in. And we have neither of those. So we have plateaued, but we have a good time hanging out with the people that do listen to it, and we're grateful for it. But otherwise, you got to like be Joe Rogan and have somehow, like, I think like he's going to get an alien to be a guest on the show before we even know that they exist. Like, I don't know how his popularity got there. All the credit to him, but isn't like the president, was Obama on that, or was that Mark Maron's?
Is it Obama was on Maron's? Yeah, but Rogan had he had Bernie Sanders on. He had like a bunch of people that were in the primaries come on that were pretty high level, and Trump wanted to come on, and Rogan didn't want him.
Really? Yeah,
wouldn't that be nice to turn down the president of the United States? But like, I
mean, I am next Tuesday, so I hope most people are, but that's my opinion.
Right. Well, this will air after. I got to stop my recording. I was listening to your album before I.
Oh, right on.
Why is it still playing?
Because it's great and everybody should listen to it. Is that why?
Oh, there we go. No, I recorded the clip you said about your name being Kyle. You're not going to live long, and I have my best friend since I was a little kid is named Kyle, so I recorded it and I sent it to him, and he fucking loved it.
How old is he?
He's my age, 54. So he's on the edge.
He might be the oldest one. He might be the oldest one.
It's such a funny bit because it really is. It's always like when 60 Minutes is doing the bit about the guy who puts on the flying squirrel wings and dives through canyons. It's always Kyle and Connor.
Dude, Kyle, well, and it's also like, I know there's a meme going on about Kyle, and I wanted to be angry about it, but I'm like, no, it's pretty true. Like all the jokes about Kyle's having unchecked anger. Like I punched out 2 laptops and I hit a guy on purpose with my car in a road rage incident. Like I am a fulfillment of that name.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know that. Oh, it's the male Karen?
Very much so, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Very much so, yeah.
Fuck.
Very much entitled Orange County, don't you know who my dad is type of vibe. Well, that's not who I am, but there's some internal rage that makes me punch out laptops. And
yeah. Yeah, I tried to hit somebody with a car once.
How'd it go?
He dove out of the way. I had just thrown him out of the car. Me and my brother and another guy got into a bar fight, and then the guy tried to dive into the passenger window as I took off, and my brother was slamming the guy's face into his knee over and over again, but the guy wouldn't let go, and I was flooring it. So we were going faster and faster, and then finally, like, we both threw him out the window, and it was like I looked in the rearview mirror and I just saw like a rolling body. And I was, I'd had a few drinks, and I was, we're both Irish, and there's just a switch that goes. And once it goes, you're no longer in control of what's happening. And I turned the car around, and I floored it at the guy. And I literally was going to hit him. And he dove out of the way at the last second, and we left. And I was like,
what are you doing this weekend?
Yeah, right.
Why don't you just be like, anyway, last Friday was crazy.
Yeah, you can live on that one for a while. Dude, what was yours that you hit somebody?
Well, it's when you realize those moments of rage that like you could step back and be like, oh, isn't this a silly story? But there's so many people in prison that are like, this would have been a silly story, except it went a millimeter too far.
Right.
And now I'm doing 25 years. And like,
right.
Having age and wisdom enough to go like, man, check yourself. Cause you like looking back, like all these near misses are silly, but eventually it might not be a near miss. I was trying to make a left turn, and I'm making a left turn, a 4-way intersection with a light, and it turns yellow. So, in LA, just everybody just keeps going. Yellow's green, which one of the funniest things I heard was being in Ireland. I did a comedy festival in Ireland. I'm like, well, you don't need a comedy festival. Everybody here is funnier than comedians.
Right.
The Irish as a people are funnier than comedians who practice.
Yes.
Because the guy driving us, he's like behind somebody. Like, it was like a yellow light, and he's like, "Go! It's just another shade of green." I'm like, technically that is true. That's the best thing to yell at somebody stopping at a yellow light. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like in the intersection waiting to make the left, as you do. You pull out, and it's yellow. People go, and now it's red, and you still got to wait for somebody, like a couple more people to go through when it's red. Now it's a stale red light, and I see a guy flooring it towards the intersection. And I have a Jeep with like 35-inch wheels on it.
Yeah. So
I'm like, I'm not going to pull in front of him, but I'll just turn my wheels out into the oncoming traffic because they're big enough. I'm like, maybe he'll see him. You got to throw a little heat on these people.
Yeah, right.
You got to throw a little sauce on them, let them know the world's real.
Yeah, a little poke check.
Yeah, so I did that thinking he'll see it, maybe swerve and be like, oh, I should really not rev from a block away at a red light next time.
Yeah.
Went right into the wheel, took the side off. It was like a little convertible BMW too. So I was like, you had this coming eventually.
Yeah, right.
And I just saw plastic and shit flying up in my window, and I don't know. I felt great.
Yeah.
I felt like
that's where you have the sickness, when that makes you feel great.
Because like you always want to be like, one day that person's going to get theirs, or one day that, but you can't become the person that gives them theirs.
Mm.
That's not, you don't get to be a superhero behind the wheel of a car. It's just assault. So I made the left turn, and I stopped and put my hazards on. I saw him keep going, And then I was picking up food. I came back and I saw him in a parking lot on his phone. Like, I think his car got wrecked. I was like, all right.
Oh, and you didn't go after him?
Nah.
Did you feel like you caused it, so you're not gonna get him to pay for it?
I just felt like fuck that guy. That's what I felt like. That was my whole. I was like, oh well, I guess I should talk to him. I would probably be at fault because somebody else I know got in an accident like that, and then because I didn't wait for the intersection to be safe to proceed, I would have been at fault. But that wasn't what was going through my head. It was just like, no, this guy did a stupid thing, and tough shit.
Right.
My car got messed up too. It cost me like $1,200.
Yep.
Worth every penny.
It is. It's really weird when you have to, and I feel the same way. That superhero thing of like, I feel like I have to dispense justice, and every fist fight that I've been in my life was because of somebody else. Like I saw somebody hit a girl or something like that, and I got involved.
Yeah.
I don't think I would ever get into a fight if it was just like my ego against somebody else's. But there is this thing, and I don't know if it is Irish. It definitely feels like Irish people are more prone to jump into a fight, and they do it usually for that reason of trying to, bring justice.
Is it bringing justice, or is there something inherent about not being afraid to get hit?
Right.
Most people are afraid to get hit. And I've been punched, but I've never been in a fight. Yeah. So I don't know what that says about me.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody thought they needed to dole out justice on me. But no, I got punched through a car window by a guy trying to sell me drugs. So I think that was a pretty weak move. I was sitting in a car and he punched through it.
What did you do wrong? Did you not have the right change?
I insulted the quality of the product. I thought it was right after I had just moved to LA, and then I was back in Chicago. So it's like, hey, local boy's back. And I had met up with I did a show, like a welcome back show, and then was going to a house party and met up with some girls. So I was in this gal was driving, and then there was like 2 or 3 other girls in the back seat, and I'm feeling like, yeah.
You're the guy.
I moved to LA. I was like, it's going to make it. It's going to happen. So we went to this liquor store, and I was buying booze. We get into the car, and as we're getting in the car, it's like hoodlums hanging out in the parking lot. In Aurora. We're in Aurora, Illinois. Not the place Wayne's World will lead you to believe. It's pretty dangerous. Uh-huh. But so these dudes are like, hey, man, you want to buy some weed? I'm like, nah, man, I'm all good. I'm okay. And so there's a guy at the driver's side. It's like, I don't know, it's good weed. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I think my weed's pretty good already. Like trying to like say no, going hard sell. And I just hear the guy in the driver's side go, man, don't you ever disrespect the quality of my weed. And I was like, in the tone that's like, oh, okay, well, here we go. And then I didn't even realize there's somebody in the passenger window. And my window, I just hear him go, like something like, you disrespect my friend or something? I didn't even have a chance. I turned into it. I was like, I didn't say, just punk in the face. Yeah. Contact lens fly out. Then all the girls are screaming like, what should we do? I'm like, probably drive away. I would say drive away. And she's like, well, there's somebody in front of the car. I'm like, that doesn't matter anymore.
No, it does not.
That's there's not a right. We can go. We can go.
Yeah.
There's no, what am I going to get out of the car? But then I still got to show up to a party with a case of beer and like a bleeding eye.
That's
and
nice.
4 girls like, the legend's back.
The legend's back from LA and he's not taking shit.
Yeah. Well, no, I did. I took a sock to the face and then ran away. But
you didn't buy but you didn't buy the shitty pot.
No, yeah, that was a horrible sales pitch.
Yes.
Sure you don't want any? I'll punch you again. I don't know. If it's medicinal quality, because I need it, because this is going to hurt real bad tomorrow.
That is the worst, though, when you're with a person that doesn't understand that we got to get the fuck out of here, and they freeze, and you could get hit again. You feel so trapped.
I mean, I learned. I mean, you're don't take offense to this, but like you're a littler guy, right?
Yeah, I'm 5'8".
Yeah, then me too. So I'm a little guy with a smart mouth. I'm well aware of what me talking can cause.
Right.
You know, drunk at a bar and like, man, here's all my opinions to a stranger. And then like, oh, this guy's mad at me. And usually there's enough of like what do? Punch the little guy?
Yeah, right.
Because you didn't laugh at the jokes?
Right.
All right. Hitting me isn't going to make any smarter, buddy. So here we go. And try and win him over that way. But
it's also a lose-lose. Fighting a little guy is a lose-lose, because if you win the fight, you just beat up a little guy. And the other option is the little guy has got a big mouth because he knows how to fight. So it's usually a bad bet. I've noticed that, like, with as much of a wise ass as I've been in my life, I haven't gotten hit as much as I really should have.
Mine is never because they think I can fight. It's just because it's like, man, you're going to win and you're going to look stupid because of it. So just laugh along with everybody, man.
Right.
And I've gotten out of stuff more that way of like, hey, easy there, big fella, grabbing those pills. Come on, buddy. We're all joking. Come on.
Yeah, right. I got beat up once on stage when I was in Boston. There was a guy that came on, and he was Middle Eastern. He was an Israeli guy. He was a cab driver in Boston.
Wow.
And he had been heckling me, and I kept going at him. And then eventually, like, I clearly had offended his, like, Middle Eastern machismo, which is, big for them. And he came up on stage with a microphone. And he came on stage, and I hit him with the microphone.
Oh, okay. I was like, where did he get the microphone?
It's like, the old ones, the Game of Thrones microphones with like the steel mesh top on it, and it weighs like 3 pounds.
Yeah.
And I hit him with it, but then he did some Krav Maga shit, got me in a headlock, spinning me around the stage, knocking over the tables, crowd's fucking cheering because it's Boston. They're like, yeah, this is great. This is better than a comedy show.
I never agree with any heckling, but is there ever a situation where you're like, oof, Israeli cab driver in Boston, maybe tonight this one's for him. Maybe he's taken enough shit in this city and that line of work that maybe we got to let him have this one. You've had a hard go, my friend. I'm going to step aside, let you take a few shots at me.
Let me buy you your next drink. You've had a rough couple years.
Yeah. Normally, I get it. I don't get like a disruptive or combative hecklers now. I get the supportive hecklers, which is really hard to deal with because they drank too much, but they're super jovial.
Right.
And they're disruptive, but out of joy. And then you don't know how to police that. Cause like, I'm just having a great time. All right. I think it was a Spokane or something I was at. The guy's like, Kyle, I love you, man. I'm just having fun. I'm like, all right, I appreciate that. But if you keep talking, they're going to kick you out. So you got to stop talking. All right, I'll stop talking. I just wanted to say that I'm just having a great time. I'm like, I get that, but you got to be quiet. All right, I'll be quiet. I didn't know if I'd get the chance. And then he got kicked out. I'm like, this is not what I wanted to happen for you, my man.
Right. And so there's a guy who went like, wow, this is my first comedy show. They don't get the parameters of it, but it is like, it is a problem, I think, with guys like you who attract, I would think, a partying crowd because, I think Dave Attell was like that. And I think Hedberg might have been like that. You attract a certain type of crowd that is drinking more and does feel more like it's a comedy show, but it's also a little bit of a party.
I get that. It's not, I don't want like this. It's never like the super rowdy ones, but yeah, they are. And I've tried to I try to not do jokes about partying or drinking so much. Or if they are, they're more about like, hey, isn't this more of an embarrassing story at my age than it is a celebratory experience? Kind of like hey, we all like to drink, but let's also behave ourselves in the world because we're middle age and it's pretty gross when you're wasted at 48 getting kicked out of a comedy show.
Right. Yeah.
But it's going to happen. Have you ever been in a situation where like you understood heckling. I was doing a joke, but it was because of true stories about like how I hate heckling and it upsets me and I don't deal with it well. I know it's supposed to be the skill that you're supposed to develop as a comedian is to deal with hecklers, but I think that's also like, you know, telling a house painter like, well, do you also know graphic design? Because that's also visual art. It's like, no, why do I have to? Why can't I just want the club to police the audience?
Right.
And I'll do my thing. But we got memberships to Magic Castle. And
why you like magic?
I didn't know I liked magic, but then I became the same jerk that's, it's my first time at a comedy show. It's a magic show. I'm like, oh, I see the card over there. And you watch the guy like, just let it, why? And then I immediately understood every person I wanted to get kicked out of a comedy show in 20 years.
Right.
That you become that in another situation because you don't understand the context.
You're right. Like the guy getting a lap dance and he goes, no, tell me your real story.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear your persona that you put on every night about community college and you love animals. I want to hear about the molestation.
So how many kids?
Yeah.
That ain't a diverticulitis scar.
Are those real? Never ask, are those real?
If you can't tell at a certain point in your life, you don't deserve the company of women.
Are you, do you play mostly rock clubs or do you play theaters or clubs or?
They were clubs. This year, I mean, I don't know how everybody else's year has been, but mine's been kind of a bummer. My year's been fine in the context of how this is. But I was kind of, this year was like the tour was going to be the bump up to larger theaters. Not huge, really? But like 1,000-seaters and stuff. Yeah. And that got squashed. So,
wow.
But is that what I'm worried about? I got to just go sleep on the pile of money I made from introducing Carrot Top specials for 8 years. Fine. It's fine. I'll be okay.
Yeah, I know.
I'm more pissed about like some of the venues I was going to play are just no longer. Like the venues themselves are shutting down. And that, whether or not I was going to play or not, that bums me out.
I know. That's tough. There's Cap City went out of business in Austin, but then I hear Rogan might buy it, resurrect it, which would be nice.
Yeah.
And then I think
he's down there now.
Yeah, he's down there, and I think a bunch of people are moving. I think Segura might move down there, and I don't know. I'm not up to date on that realm. Is that just like that whole little family that like, are they just a crew? I know Segura and Kreischer call each other fat, and that made them millions of dollars. Yep. And then you got Joey Diaz. You
want to start something between us where we just like call each other short?
Yeah, let's go with short.
We'll be millionaires.
Because you're fucking short, man. I don't know how you get women.
I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to like do the mean thing. Okay. I don't want to do that. It hurts my soul, man. I'm trying to feel better about life. I did a roast spinning.
I did a roast one time, and I thought it was really fun to write the jokes and be really mean, and people took them in the right way. You know, I didn't cross the line. But then they started making fun of me because that's part of the roast. If you're going to be a roaster, you're going to get shit on. And it fucking hurt. It really, like Jim Norton said, Greg, you look like what old smells like. And I didn't even know what that meant. But I knew that I was being called old, and I fucking hated it. Mostly because I'm the same age as Jim Norton. I just happen to have aged a little bit faster than he did.
I know. I never wanted to do a roast battle because I don't want to know what people actually think about me.
Right.
Like, as much as it's fun, it's like, I don't have the constitution to deal. Like, my close friends that I grew up with can make fun of me, and that's a sign of endearment.
Yeah.
because they know you so well. But when you do these roast battles, it's just a stranger looking up things on the internet and just confirming doubts you already have about yourself.
Right.
Like all I do is I just have to shave my beard and show my weak chin, and I get to be depressed for weeks afterwards reading comments.
Yep.
So I don't need my coworkers getting a hall pass. I'm like, yeah, we're going to shit all over you. I'm like, no, it's fine. I don't.
Yeah. And they're
just
good
do it. Yeah. Yeah. That's good at do it in the green room.
Yeah.
Behind my back, like I do to you. That's fine. That's acceptable.
I remember the last time you came on my podcast, we did a solid hour talking about the craft, talking about the world. And then we shut off the microphones and talked shit about other comedians for about 90 minutes.
That's a sweet spot. It's a sweet spot. That's when you do it. When it's because then even if it's not the funniest, it's still mean. Oh boy, ooh, all the sweet and savory flavors in there.
Right. And it's like, I guess everybody has to do that in every job. But then the people that I used to shit on the most, not the most, but a lot, are people now that I consider peers because they've done it for this long, and we've gone through the same things, worked the same clubs, same trials and tribulations, and I kind of like see them all as brothers and sisters now, even if I used to shit on them before.
There's like a point where regardless of of the person's act, like we've been going over the same hurdles for enough years that, like you might not be my best friend in comedy, but like, hey, we have similar experiences. Right. That bonds people together. We can hang out. That's why it's always surprising. If there's somebody where I'm like, this guy's a piece of shit.
Right.
That's always impressive that like, wow, in spite of having this long, this lifestyle in common, that you're still such a dirtbag. Nobody wants to see you in a green room. That's almost impressive. You can pull that off.
It's impressive, and it's not uncommon. I think it's not uncommon in the TV world, but I think in the stand-up world, most people like that don't make it. But the few that do really are getting away with something, because so much of this business does depend on your peers and people respecting you. And if you can be a piece of shit and a hack and still make it, you would have made it in anything.
Boy, do you have compromising pictures of somebody.
Yeah, I do.
Well, people always talk about kind of like, what's people get frustrated in LA. It's like, it's the people that have the ambition and the hustle will make it 9 times out of 10 over the people that have the raw talent and don't know how to do anything with it, or don't have the ambition to do anything with it.
Right.
Because the people that have all the talent, like, why'd so-and-so get this? Because they go out to shows every night. They hang out. The real shitty schmoozy ones can get on showcases, and then they bomb, and then they fried that opportunity because they're like, oh yeah, so-and-so's nice, but they suck, so we're not going to book them again.
Yeah.
Some people, you got to find the middle of, you believe in yourself and you believe in your talent, you practice at open mics, hang out at shows you want to be on. Don't ask to go up. Don't just email. Hang out there. Show that you're around and you're a nice guy, and eventually you will get on that stage, and then do a good job and you get invited back. It's not like this rocket ship to success. You got to zigzag Donkey Kong field, like a little bit up and a little bit more up and then a little bit more up, and then you get there. I don't know why people get so frustrated. So-and-so got this. So-and-so got that. Cool. How many open mics did you do in Los Angeles, a major city? Oh, you did none this month.
Yeah.
But you bitched every day about not getting booked somewhere. Well, good luck.
Yeah, and it's often not even things you were going for. It's like in comedy, there's so many directions you can go in, whether or not you want to be a film star, you want to write for TV, or you want to do podcasting, like whatever. And then people will get early on. I remember Mark Maron. I had gone out to LA for pilot season, and he was in, this gritty New York comic, and I come back and he's like, he goes, I heard you booked whatever. He goes, how'd you get that? You didn't, you're not right for that. And I was like, Mark, you didn't go out for pilot season. You don't want to be on a sitcom. Why are you giving me shit about this?
But isn't that like, I don't know enough about Maron, but wasn't that his only speed for the longest time? Was to like
Yeah.
That was his, like, that's when people get so set into their character. Like, you can go off the deep end, Larry the Cable Guy, but at least there's a line of defense of like, well, that's the outfit I put on. And then, but otherwise I'm Dan.
Right.
But Larry's a character. But some people just become what, like, oh, like, I get like, oh, look, you're the gruff party dude. You're the blue collar guy. And you hear that enough and you start creating that character around what people think you should be.
Right.
That's why, like, I was conscientiously trying to move away from that and stand up and not be that character. Cause like, that's going to be a sad guy to watch as he gets older.
Right.
I mean, I'll still look how I look, and I'm going to live my life and talk about it. But I don't want to just be like, man, I got so drunk last night. Like, this is a matter of time. Like, that's a sad story because you're old. I'm like, oh yeah, I should.
Yes. And it's got to be tough too with your voice. Did you get that voice from partying?
I think so. Well, it's funny. My buddy from back home made this little documentary because he had taped like all of it, like back when we were 19, 20. He was just the dude that was always around with a video camera.
Yeah.
And be like, hey man, you want to be part of this? We didn't even know what documentaries were. So we all sound like assholes. But when I started comedy, I didn't have this voice. I mean, I smoked for about 10 years. And then I think just being loud and slowly seeing like, oh, again, like the character that shapes like, oh, you hear somebody impersonate you. And I'm like, I don't sound like that. And then you start to sound like that. Like, oh, that's what you like about me? All right.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Accentuate the things. Oh, you like that? Okay, let me do that.
Yeah. You hear that in radio guys a lot. You know, they go, the sports radio guys, they really push it. They don't sound like that off the air, but when they're on the air, they get really weird.
No. Do you know Ben Roy? Have you worked with Ben Roy?
No.
He does a fake morning show. I don't know where. I don't know if it's on YouTube or on Instagram. It's called 97.9 The Rat Race. Uh-huh. And it is all the stereotypes that you know about morning radio, but done just real enough where it's like, you know, traffic outbound 15 looking clogged, boing, and people have made fun of him enough, but has the perfect enthusiasm and voice for it.
Yeah. You know, but the guy, I always hated that guy in Chicago. What was his name? Cowhead?
Mancow Muller.
Mancow. Oh, no, Cowhead I like. He's in Tampa.
Mancow was a
fucking douchebag.
He became like a bottom rung Alex Jones kind of putz. He was the guy who took over the show from Wendy and Bill when the show I would listen to in the morning. Really? That I would like, because then I was still 19. I'm like, all right, I'm listening to radio, but I did like, you know, that music when it was, you know, 1996, whatever was the alternative hits. But I also like comedy. So them making fun of a thing, I felt like they were roasting me. And then because like, oh yeah, we're getting Mancow Muller, and he came on and it was just all that hack radio morning DJ stuff. And I was like, all right, well, I'm out. Like, where'd Wendy and Bill go? I'll listen to Celine Dion at 6:30 a.m. at this gas station, even though I'm trying my hardest to look punk rock and doing all this. I will suffer through, you know, whatever Manfred Mann song or whatever you guys want to spin, because I think you're funny and you guys make me laugh, and that's what I need in the morning. I don't need rock and I don't need Nirvana and then Mancow Muller. Yeah, just pulling whatever bullshit he has. Yeah, he's still there.
Is he really?
I would do the Up Comedy Club, and the owner was cool, but she's always like, I know the answer, but do you want to like, or you get like the list of morning radio?
Yep. And I remember they wanted me to do that. I did it once, and all the guy wanted to talk about was Stern, because I'm a big Stern guy, and he just wanted to shit on Stern because I guess Stern had come after him when he was in the Chicago market. And it was like, hey man, I'm not fucking Stern. I'm like a comedian that's like waking up at 5 a.m. to call in and either, you know, use me as entertainment on your show or don't take the fucking call. But he literally was insulting and rude to me just because I used to do Stern a lot.
Yeah, he's like a printer running out of ink, Xerox copy of Alex Jones at this point.
Yeah, right.
Which I saw him at an airport once. I didn't even know the dude was still alive, and I was like, oh shit. and Kyle Muller. But those, I don't know what the switch becomes. What happens to like white male comedians, like when they start to realize, or radio guys, when they realize that they're not funny, that they just become libertarian?
Yeah.
Do you know, like, there was like a few comedy club owners that I ran into that like really slipped into, like, all of a sudden they would run the club, but they'd also do a spot on your show.
Yeah.
Eat shit because their set was just about like very local tax laws.
Uh-huh.
And I think they thought they were like building up an audience for when they ran for office. Instead, they just had a club of people trying to give them money, saying like, oh, this guy again. Well, I don't think we're going to come here next weekend if this guy's on stage every weekend.
Every weekend. And so if they come back because they want to see, you know, Bill Burr one weekend and Bobby Kelly the next weekend, and they're still seeing this asshole do. And I actually think I know the guy you're talking about right now.
Well, there's two of them. And then if another club opens up, they get fucking furious. But aren't you just busy butt fucking free market ideas? But if another club comes in and steals your business, that's rotten.
Right.
But you're all about the free market? Get fucked. Guys. I know that much about economics, but I know these dudes are like, I'm going to do a spot before you. I'm like, oh, great, cool. I'll just go home then. This is going to be
there's
cool.
Actually,
you want a shovel?
I bet you I can name the two places once we're off the air, once we start the shit talk session.
Well, those are the two that I know of. I'm sure there's more.
Right. So let's talk about your comedy album that I just listened to, which is really fucking great, man. Congrats.
Thanks, man.
When did it come out? This summer?
Came out in July, yeah.
Uh-huh. And it was an hour and 40 minutes, which is now was that one show, or did you piece together a few shows? No, the whole I did a showcase in LA trying to sell it to Amazon, Netflix, wherever, and I didn't have the best show that I could, and nobody bought it. Nobody wanted it. Comedy Central had made an offer, but at the time, like, Comedy Central didn't have any streaming. This is not the question that you asked, but they didn't. Are you frozen or very still? I'm very still because actually I really want to hear this, being in the exact same position as you were. But goddamn, Greg, you are just, I mean, statuesque. Not the way you look, but the positioning. I had to like move my mouse to see if the screen was frozen. Like, God, you can make a few nickels down at the 3rd Street Promenade with that move. You get some silver paint in a bucket. You'd be all right. That was magnificent. It's because I have ADHD, man. Sometimes I just freeze it. I lock in. I'm giving you 1,000%. It made me nervous. I'm like, oh, we lost the connection. The Wi-Fi went down. Well, the same thing happens in real life. People start smacking me. They think that I'm having a seizure. Well, just throw a blink in there every once in a while. Let me know that we got a connection. See, maybe this could be the thing we shit on each other for. Well, you freeze up. I know. And also, is it Lenny Bruce, Bruce Springsteen, or Kevin Nealon behind you? It is Bruce Springsteen. And it's okay. It's not a great picture, but my brother bought it for me. And so as an homage to him, I'm putting the bad artwork on the wall. I'm a fan of it. But I was like, I really thought it was Kevin Nealon for a minute. Is this audio only or is this visual? No, this is visual. Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. I'm making, again, you could take your dick out on radio, but okay. So nobody wanted it. I kind of was already about to sign off on any kind of Hollywood stuff. Yeah. Like I got what I wanted. I moved to LA to become a comedian. My thought was, we probably talked about this last time. Let me get credits so I can go work the road instead of having to start at the bottom rung as an MC. Cause I was a horrible MC and I had bad energy, especially like early aughts when like it was still that holdover. Like, you got to be peppy and fun. Hey, how you doing? And I was terrible. I'm like, I'm not going to make it that way. I'm going to burn out before I get a chance to show people what I can do. So let me move to LA, try and get some TV credits, and then I can go as a feature or that when I'm like, don't have the pressure of being like the party host. Right. And
all these other like, oh, try and write a pilot, try and do this. And I was like, I don't like any of it. I got to do some Friends TV. I got to be on Those Who Can't, which Ben Roy and the Denver guys, and they were my pals. And that was fun because it was my friends that made a show. But otherwise, all the other stuff that LA had to offer, I mean, it was great. I got the voiceover gig from being around town and doing stuff. But I was like, I'm going to focus on stand-up. That's all I want to be as a stand-up. I get to be a stand-up. That's great. Your dream came true. Stop looking for more dreams. The one you had came true.
Right.
So I decided, I'm like, and Comedy Central was going to like, oh yeah, we'll do your special. But I was like, you guys air it at 11 p.m. on Friday on cable TV, which nobody watches anymore. And then it disappears.
Yeah, they air it like 3 times and then they put it on the shelf.
Yeah, I've got 3 specials that I'm very proud, and I'm glad they gave me the opportunity to put them out. I'm super proud of those specials, but people are only finding them like they're finding them now because now it's on Spotify. Now they know how to chop it up and put it on YouTube. Before it was on their app, it was behind a paywall. You couldn't find it easily. I'm like, I'm not going to put all this effort into something that's going to disappear.
Right.
So I said no to the Comedy Central offer. I'm like, I'm just going to do it audio only. That's where this stuff lives now anyway, is whatever YouTube clip with whatever visual you want to put to it, which is why I animated parts of it. I'm like, I want to do really good animation. Let me take all the money somebody would spend on the production of a live comedy special and do really good 3D art for it, and let Meester Animation, actually here in Portland, were the ones that did it. And I just told them, like, I've got no notes. Run with it and go weird with it. The last thing I want is an animated me on stage telling jokes.
Right,
so
right.
You guys are artists too, and you're visual artists. Take my words, put it through your compressor, and spit out whatever creative wildness you want to do. And they did, and I thought it was awesome. But I jumped ahead there. Sorry. So I was going to do, I'll just do an audio album. I did 5 or 6 shows at Comedy on State in Madison.
Oh, nice.
Because I knew I was doing the same hour every night that I wanted for the album. I had all these stories that never made it onto other albums. I'm like, oh, I could do a different long bit during each show. So 5 different longer bits.
Right.
That's the last 45 minutes of the album. That's why it ends that's why the album ends weird at an hour and then starts with other bits, because those are the longer bits that I changed up every night in the show.
Yeah.
But I was like, what am I holding on to this for? Let's put it all out there, chop it up, and let it live on Spotify so I can get 0.003 cents per play.
But you're probably getting money out of Sirius XM, right? They chop it up and play it on those channels?
Yeah, there's a little bit there, but all my money is from doing live shows. Yeah. I mean, I do some voiceover and I do some animation stuff, but my money is from live. Like, if people hear it and then I am showing up in their town the next week, that's what I want to do. I want to perform live.
Right. Right.
And so let me put out as much as I can. Hopefully it's all in rotation on all the streaming services. And so there's more of an opportunity for people to stumble on it.
Right.
And then we'll go see them live. And then, of course, this year is this year. So
yeah. Did you put it on YouTube?
Yeah, it's all chopped up and just got the album art, and then it's an audio clip. So
right. Cool. Yeah, because I just did a thing where I taped an hour to show to Netflix and Comedy Central. So I was in Portland, as a matter of fact, at Helium, which I fucking love. It's such a great
Yeah, it's a great club.
So there's a guy up there that shoots video, and I'm spacing his name right now. Wait, are you in Portland?
I'm in Beaverton, so like the first burb outside. I'm in the Glendale of Portland. Okay,
so there's a guy that regularly shoots at the Portland Helium Comedy Club. You don't know his name? I can't. Well, he comes out and he brings two really good cameras, and he puts about 7 microphones up around the room and on stage. And he put together this hour that I was going to try to sell the hour with. And we did it right before the pandemic. So now I'm like, first of all, I send it off. My agent hears nothing from either one of them. So I know that I'm kind of fucked. And if I want to shoot it on my own and put it out, there's not going to be a full room again for another year. And so I said, let me just take this hour that I taped and start putting it out. So I started chopping it up probably about 6 or 7 weeks ago. And I'm putting out like 2 or 3 minutes at a time on Instagram every Friday and just rolling it all out. I put the whole hour out like that.
Mm-hmm. That's, I mean, it's back to the DIY stuff.
Right.
Not that it was like always DIY. No, I moved to LA and tried to use the machine to my advantage, and it worked. Yeah. But now as much as the machine will work for you, the machine will have no need for you at a point. And I'd rather be ahead of that instead of stuck like, Hollywood doesn't love me. And also stand up, like Netflix has my look. They got Segura, they got Kreischer. They don't need another bearded white guy, dragging his dumpy ass across the stage. They've got their guys, and that's not a shot at them either, because they're both funny dudes, but they are filling the category that I would be applying for.
Right.
And that's the economics of it. That's not a judgment of anybody's skill level. It's like we got the slot filled.
Yeah.
And I don't get, and there's no like social justice fucking like, you just the white guy. Like, I don't know that. Please show more people doing stand-up from different perspectives. Like you said earlier, here's an hour, here's a microphone, here's 5 feet. You could do whatever you want. We've seen me or my version of this over and over again.
Yeah.
So I think what I do it well, but there's a bunch of me out there.
Yeah,
so,
I know. And I feel like we had our day, man. We had a good fucking run. I mean, when I started doing stand-up, it was like the comedy boom was taking off. There was tons of stage time. I moved to LA later, and there was development deals, and there was like, being a straight white guy was the greatest thing in the world. Yeah. Now it's not. But you know what? If you didn't save your money, you're a fucking idiot. You should have been saving some of that money.
Yeah, financially, that's you bear responsibility, and there's not a limit to it. It's not like because this, then you can't have this.
Right.
It's not. But we had too much of what we are.
Yeah.
I still make a living doing stand-up. That's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
If you're good at it and people laugh at it, still. That is what counts. Now, as far as getting the chance of the chance of exposure or something, but I'm like Chad Daniels is, gets his life from people finding it on Pandora and on Spotify. And I was listening to Chad Daniels last night. I'm like, I never listened to stand up. And I was searching for an old grunge band called Seaweed, and down on the list, he had a bit with seaweed in the title of it. I'm like, oh, Chad Daniels. I'm like, I'll listen to this Chad. I want to just sit in my room, listen to this Chad Daniels bit, laughing my ass off.
Yeah.
And he's just white dude, dad, and he's hilarious about it. And that's all you need to be.
Right. Right.
And and he gets to tour and sell tickets and make a living. Why do comedians think they deserve to be superstars? Why can't you look at it like, do a good job and get paid accordingly?
Dude, I have a fucking 10-minute routine about how I crawled my way to the middle, and I'm staying right there. It's like if I'm on a TV show and it gets canceled, wasn't my show. I can go do another show now. If you were the star of that show, you're kind of fucked for a little while. You got some stink on you. And I feel like no one's going to Me Too me because I'm not big enough to get Me Too'd. I'm just like, just making a great living. I got a balance in my life. I got a family that I've, spent more time with than I would have if I was really chasing it so hard that I was putting everything into it. And the next step, I think, is like in a year, my daughter will graduate high school. And then I think me and my wife will think pretty seriously about moving somewhere else. Like, I like your move, man. Go somewhere that's going to make you happy.
Well, I mean, this just came out of, this wasn't born out of any kind of necessity. It was just my girlfriend had like, this her mom's house. Her mom passed away. Her brother was living here. Because of various reasons of the pandemic, her brother was able to actually buy another house. So they wanted to fix this one up to rent it. We're sitting in LA paying $3,000 a month on rent. Let's just hang out up here for a while. And they're like, she got laid off. I'm not working. We could live in a whole house instead of an apartment. I just need to be by an airport when I start working again.
Right.
Let's kick it. And that was the realization maybe about a year and a half, 2 years ago, with like all this pursuing LA shit. Because when you live there, you think like, oh, maybe I should be doing more commercials. I got to write a pilot. I would sit there and try to write shows, and I fucking hated it because there's nothing organic about like whoring out your life's experiences for a TV show. I'm already doing that enough with stand-up.
Yeah.
But I can't. And now, I've got a full rig set up to try and start do streaming, and like, all right, I'm going to be the dude who sits in front of his computer and be like, hey, everybody, it's Kyle today. And because I don't see that as being entertaining, valuable entertainment. But people look at it. They don't look at you. It's not a stand-up show when you sit here and do this. It's like, no, man, we know you from stand-up. We think you're funny from stand-up. What's your life like otherwise? 5 minutes, a couple times a week. Hey, I went to the store. Did you know they had this thing at the store? It tastes pretty good. It doesn't have to have a punchline.
Right.
You don't give a shit. They're just bored.
Right.
So I'm going to do that thing. I'm going to go a little bit Truman Show with it, which kind of curdles my stomach a little bit. But I got nothing else going on. But to be like, oh, I just wanted to be a stand-up and I got to do that. And maybe you don't get to be, a multi-millionaire from being a stand-up. Maybe you just get to make an honest living, and that's good. What's wrong with that? Yeah.
And it feeds on itself. It's a meritocracy. If you go out and you do a good show in Worcester, Massachusetts, or fucking Memphis, those people are going to come back and they're going to tell your friends, and you are going to continue to work for as many years as you want, as long as you keep the quality of what you're doing is up. And also you add some extra shit. I know you're not big on social media, but like to do something like this where you can put content out beyond just the stand-up, it's all organic.
Yeah. I mean, I get caught up in seeing somebody's got like 1 million followers on Instagram and all they're doing every day is like, oh man, look at me. I'm going to put on moisturizer. Whoopsie, slippery. And then like in 50,000 views. And it's like, well, that's great. But show me the Vine stars. Show me the, where's the longevity? I need to see the longevity in that. Like you can do that, but also have the thing that's valuable for sales for like, hey, I'm coming to do a live show. Yeah. Please pay for that. Like you can tell when people know they don't have anything because their ticket prices are fucking astronomical. My ticket prices are $25, maybe 30, because I can give you that show. If I charge you $70, I'll do the same act. It will not be funny. Right. $25, great act. Yep. Same one.
Louis C.K. is going out. He's playing comedy clubs for $20 a ticket right now. He doesn't give a shit.
Well, I mean, he can do that. It's not like he's broke.
Yeah, right. So before I let you go, I'm just curious, like, what's a day in the life in Portland?
Dude, today, I barely got out of the shower in time for this 2 p.m. podcast. It's, I'm from the suburbs, and you kind of hate the suburbs when you're growing up there because you feel like you're never going to get out, and it's this creative vacuum. Because like I've always said, like I've made jokes about like if you live in the city, there's just diversity, and you're encountering so many different cultures just growing up and seeing how many different lifestyles can just live so close together. Or if you're in the country, it's like you're learning these skills and maybe just seeing life from a different angle of like you work hard, you learn those. The suburbs are just, you think it's both of those and it's none of those. It's just like, I don't know, you want to just get stoned and drive around, get Taco Bell. And I did that until forever. But now that I'm back in the suburbs, like I was saying, like, am I supposed to want like a Hollywood lifestyle or some kind of like highfalutin? Like, no, I just did stand up and now I'm back. I'm like, this house came with a stray cat, and mostly our concern is how do we keep the cat warm for the winter. And I got a bum ankle, so I'm doing some physical therapy. Normally I'd be like off in the woods riding bikes or doing hikes like that, but I got a bum ankle, so I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be a YouTube star.
Yeah,
I'm just going to be a YouTube star because it's easy.
Yeah.
It's
You're
easy.
You're going to have your own line of cosmetics soon. And
yeah, it's nothing but a bunch of idiots out there. So hey, it's your boy Kyle, sponsored by Grape Nuts, whatever. Go fuck yourself. Boom, $1 million. That's all it takes. Grape Nuts. You know what the teen demographic loves?
Yeah.
Grape Nuts. That punchline from 1987.
And all right, listen, I'll let you go, but great catching up with you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
And again, congrats on the album. I'll tell people the name. It's called Trampoline in a Ditch. I listen to it on Spotify. I'm sure you can listen to it on a bunch of other things like Pandora or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the podcast is called The Boogie Monster, which you do with Dave Stone. And that comes out, once a week?
That's on Tuesdays. I'm actually going to tape that next. I also do a show called Hey Girl with Matt Browner.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Yeah. Me and old Matt, buddies from back when. So we just get together and try not to, God forbid, people try to do a positive podcast, not bitch about stuff.
Yeah.
Try to just be silly.
Yeah. All right, good, man. So thanks again, and we'll catch up to you soon.
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right, see ya.